All right, let's get it. Contrary to popular belief, there is nothing new under the sun. Ecclesiastes 1:9 reads as follows: The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. Now, this isn't going to be a video about Bible study. There are many channels on YouTube dedicated to that. I want to try and illustrate that time is somewhat circular. You know, what goes around comes around. History repeats itself. What's old eventually becomes new again. And all those other anecdotes that people say related to time. So let's begin with fashion. Because I am a man, I will focus on men's fashion. Men's suits in particular. Nowadays, the skinny tie and the straight-legged suits are trendy, or fitted suits as they like to call them. That's the same look that was popular back in the 60s. It's funny because someone is out there right now laying claim that they started that trend. Hey, there is nothing new under the sun. Remember when Nelly was rapping about Air Force Ones? Air Force Ones were originally released in 1982. Chuck Taylors became really popular again about 5 or 6 years ago, and they hiked up the price. And then there's the Air Jordans. People are out here paying almost $300 for the same Jordans I was rocking back in the 90s. And they were about $125 back then, which was really expensive for that time. I can't imagine paying $300 for a pair of sneakers that I bought 30 years ago, and the only difference is the color scheme. Talk about markups and profit margins and all of that jazz, but I'll save that for another video. Getting back to men's fashion, butterfly collars resurfaced for a little while. Three-piece suits are trendy again, and if we give it a little time, double-breasted suits will become popular again as well. Why? Because there is nothing new under the sun. For the ladies, spandex used to be really popular back in the day. And do you know what they call that trend now? Leggings. Capris made their resurgence for a little while in the late 90s, early 2000s. That started back in the 50s and 60s. Daisy Dukes are back, but now they're called booty shorts or boy shorts. They even have the long eyelashes, makeup trends, and all the things like that. Also for the men and women, the whole ripped jean look is back in. That's also something we were rocking back in the 90s. You know why? Because there's nothing new under the sun. Let's briefly touch on music. I say briefly because I could literally spend an entire week talking about all the covers and remakes and samples that have been made and are still being made across all genres. Some of your favorite artists' biggest hits are probably covers or remakes from a previous artist or group. Hollywood is not exempt from this either. The horror genre is filled with remakes, especially over the past 20 to 30 years. All the way from Rosemary's Baby, to Amityville Horror, to Child's Play, to It, to Pet Sematary. The comedy genre benefits also with remakes like The Longest Yard, Starsky and Hutch, Charlie's Angels, Dr. Dolittle, The Nutty Professor, and so on and so forth. Lots of westerns have also been remade, and some action flicks like Death Wish. Hell, they even made a remake of Footloose. Why? Because there's nothing new under the sun. Switching gears, let's take a look at the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918. Basically, it was the H1N1 virus that spread worldwide and killed about 50 million people across the globe. 675,000 of those deaths occurred right here in the US. At that time, there were no antibiotics to treat the virus, so the efforts to limit the spread included isolation, quarantine, good hygiene, use of disinfectants, limitations on public gatherings, and wearing masks. Fast forward 102 years, and we're faced with the same situation. And yes, there were some that were opposed to wearing masks, just like some are opposed to wearing masks today. Why? Because there's nothing new under the sun. Moving on to politics. Arguably, the current occupant of the White House is said to be using the same race-baiting dog whistles that George Wallace used in Alabama back in the 60s. That's debatable. You know what's not up for debate? The whole birther BS that they are using as an attack against Senator Harris. It's the exact same attack this clown tried against Obama. It's crazy coincidental that all of a sudden Kamala's eligibility is being questioned when we all know that she was born in Oakland. Anyone with internet access can look this up. So in his mind, any black person that may ascend to the highest office in the land has to prove that they're a natural born citizen? Come on, man. Just stop. That's a weak, racist attack. It didn't work the first time, and it will not work this time. Why? Because there's nothing new under the sun. Did y'all see the fight that broke out yesterday at Stone Mountain? Very reminiscent of Charlottesville. All the protesting and marching and civil unrest is just like the civil rights era. It's like if Malcolm or Martin was to rise from the dead, they'd look around and go, little to no progress has been made. You know what? I want to take this moment to apologize. I really wanted to try and talk about some lighthearted, fun topics on this video. My buddy Pete told me I should try to talk about posses and how someone has a big posse, but I just can't. First off, I'm not a comedian. And second, these videos are a glimpse into my psyche. I don't say things to be controversial, and I don't want to do something out of character just to get views. I have to be myself. I believe there's a saying that goes, if you want to predict the future, study the past. So what other things are just a rehash of something from the past? Let me know in the comments. So if you like the way I think, slide over to my Patreon page and check out some of my original short stories. It's only $1.50. The link is in the description box below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on all future videos. Well, that's all I have for this one. Thanks for your time. Peace.